3.5 Dividing Polynomials. When we are dividing polynomials, we are going to see these in two different ways. If you look at example A and example B, they're written in two different ways. Remember, a fraction is the same exact thing as division. So when you do this, you're going to do this just like long division, and you're going to put your term that you're dividing by on the outside of your little division house, and then the polynomial on the inside. You want to make sure that when you are writing this polynomial on the inside, that if you're starting with an exponent, let's say like with example A for an exponent of 3, that each of your exponents are going down 3, 2, 1, 0, and every single term has that exponent. If you don't have, like, let's say if you don't have an x squared, which we're going to do an example, like you put a 0x squared plus 0x squared minus 0x squared. So for this first example, we have x minus 2 on the outside, and then on the inside we have x cubed minus 5x plus 4x, minus 5x squared plus 4x minus 2. So what we're looking at is that x minus 2. We're going to look at the first term there, and we're going to say to ourselves, what do we have to multiply that x by to get it to be the first term in that polynomial that's on the inside? So x times x squared is x cubed, so we're going to put an x squared on the top, and then multiply each the x and the negative 2 by the x squared. So x squared times x gives us x cubed. Then x squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. From here, we're going to we're going to subtract each of these, which remember is the same thing as adding the opposites. So our first term on both should cancel out. And then we have the negative 5x squared plus 2x squared, which is going to give us a negative 3x squared. We're going to bring down that 4x, which is positive. So we now have the negative 3x squared plus 4x. So we're going to say to ourselves, what times x and the x minus 2 is going to give us a negative 3x squared? Well, if we multiply it by negative 3x, we're going to get the negative 3x squared. So now multiply the negative 3x by the x and by the negative 2. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared, and negative 3x times negative 2 is a positive 6x. So we're going to subtract these two, and remember, subtracting is the same thing as adding the opposites. So the 3x squares cancel out, and then you have 4x minus 6x, which is negative 2x. Remember to drop down that negative 2. So from here, you're going to say to yourself, what times the x is going to give me the negative 2x? It's just negative 2. So then multiply the negative 2 by the x and the negative 2. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. So now subtract these, or add the opposites. The negative 2x and the 2x cancel out, and then you have negative 2 minus 4, which gives us negative 6. Now when you go to write this, you're going to have your trinomial that's on the top, so the x squared minus 3x minus 2 plus, if you have a remainder, it goes on the top of what you're dividing by, so that x minus 2 is on the bottom and that negative 6 is on the top. If you didn't have a remainder and you got 0 at the very end, you just have the x squared minus 3x minus 2. So here, this is our answer. If we look at example B, we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 7 divided by x plus 2. So that x plus 2 goes on the outside, and then the 2x squared plus 7x plus 7 goes on the inside. The x times what is the 2x squared? It's going to be 2x. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 2 is a positive 4x. Now subtract, or again, add the opposites. The 2x squared minus 2x squared cancels out, and then the 7x minus 4x gives us a positive 3x. Bring down the 7. So 3x plus 7. What times x gives us 3x? Well, that's just a 3. That's a positive 3. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 2 is positive 6. Subtract these two, or add their opposites. The 3x's cancel out, and 7 minus 6 is 1. So our answer here is 2x plus 3 plus 1 over x plus 2. If we look at our next example, we have x squared plus 3x minus 4 divided by x plus 2. So again, that x plus 2 goes on the outside. The x squared plus 3x minus 4 goes on the inside. So first, x times what is x squared? X. So x times x is x squared. X times 2 is a positive 2x. Subtract these two, or add their opposites. We're going to be left with just an x. Bring down that 4, which is negative, so x minus 4. X times what is x? It's just a 1. So we're going to multiply it by 1. We have x plus 2 underneath the x minus 4. We're going to subtract them. The x's cancel out, and negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. So our answer here is x plus 1 plus negative 6 over x plus 2. For D, we have x squared minus x plus 3 divided by x plus 1. So that x plus 1 goes on the outside. The x squared minus x plus 3 goes on the inside. So x times what is x squared? X. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is a positive x. We're going to subtract these two. The x squared will cancel out. The negative x minus x is a negative 2x. We drop down that 3, which is positive. So x times what is negative 2x? Just a negative 2. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So subtract these two. Those two x's will cancel out. The 3 plus 2 gives us 5. So our answer is x minus 2 plus 5 over x plus 1. For E, we have 6 minus 2x minus x squared divided by 2 minus x. So what we can do here is we can work backwards, or we can go ahead and rearrange these to be negative x squared minus 2x plus 6 divided by negative x plus 2. So when we set this up, we're going to have that negative x plus 2 on the outside, and that negative x squared minus 2x plus 6 on the inside. So negative x times what is negative x squared? It's just going to be an x. So x times negative x is negative x squared. X times 2 is a positive 2x. When we go to subtract these two, it's going to turn into addition. Change our signs. The negative 2x minus 2x is a negative 4x. Bring down that 6. So now, negative x times what is negative 4x? A positive 4. So 4 times negative x is negative 4x. 4 times 2 is a positive 8. So when we subtract these, again, add the opposites. The 4x's cancel out. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. So our answer is x plus 4 plus negative 2 over negative x plus 2. Now, if you wanted to, you could have also written it as x plus 4 plus negative 2 over 2 minus x, so that way it looks a little bit better. It's totally up to you. Either one is equivalent. Okay, so for f, we have 9z minus z squared divided by z minus 3. Now, this is one of those ones that I was saying about how if you don't have a specific so-called place value term with that power of a 2, a 1, a 0, you have to add in a plus 0 or a plus 0 z squared or whatever it is that you're missing. So here again, we can rewrite this to be negative z squared plus 9z. Now it doesn't have a constant, so we can just put plus 0. We may not need that because it's just the constant. But if it was a term that had a z attached to it that we were missing, so let's say if it was negative z cubed plus z squared, we we have to identify that x squared or that z squared. So we would have to put a plus 0 z squared in that expression. Okay, so we're going to start with the z minus 3 on the outside, then the negative z squared plus 9z plus 0 goes on the inside. So what times z is negative z squared? Negative z. So that's negative z squared. Multiply it by the negative 3 as well. It's going to give us a positive z, or sorry, a positive 3z. Subtract these two. These are going to cancel. That 3 is going to become subtraction. 9z minus 3z is 6z. Bring down that 0. Now you have z times what is 6z? It's a positive 6. So 6z minus 18 is now what we have that we were subtracting. So this is going to turn into addition. The 6z's cancel out. 0 plus 18 is just 18. So our answer is negative z plus 6 plus 18 over z minus 3. Look at our next example. We have 4t squared minus 4t plus 1 divided by 2t plus 1. So that 2t plus 1 goes on the outside. The 4t squared minus 4t plus 1 goes on the inside. So 2t times what is 4t squared? It's a 2t. So 2t times 2t is 4t squared. 2t times 1 is a positive 2t. Subtract these two. The 4's are going to cancel out. And then the 4t minus 2t is negative 6t. Drop down that 1. The 2t times what is 6t? That's a negative 3. So negative 3 times 2t is negative 6t. And negative 3 times the 1 is a negative 3. Subtract these or add the opposites. The 6t's cancel out. The 1 plus 3 is 4. So our answer is 2t minus 3 plus 4 over 2t plus 1. For our last example, we have 6u squared plus 7u plus 5 divided by 3u minus 1. So that 3u minus 1 goes on the outside. The 6u squared plus 7u plus 5 goes on the inside. So 3u times what is 6u? That's a 2u. So multiply. 2u times 3u is 6u squared. 2u times negative 1 is a negative 2u. Subtract these two or add the opposites. The 6u squares cancel out. 7u plus 2u gives us 9u. Drop down that 5. 3u times what is 9u? It's a positive 3. 3 times 3u is 9u. 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3. So subtract these two. Those 9u's are going to cancel out. And the 5 plus the 3 gives us 8. So our answer is 2u plus 3 plus 8 over 3u minus 1. So I want to do 2 other examples with you so that way you can see what it looks like when you're getting solutions that don't have remainders and when you have to add in a term because you don't have a power that's identified. So if we look at something like x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x plus 6 all over x minus 2. This x minus 2 will go on the outside. Oops. And then the x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x plus 6 will go on the inside. So again, x times what is x cubed? That's x squared. X times x, x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. Subtract these two or add the opposites. The x cubes canceled out. 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. Bring down that negative 13x. X times what is 5x squared? It's a positive 5x. So 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times negative 2 is negative 10x. Subtract these two, or again, add the opposites. The 5x squared cancels out. The negative 13 plus 10 gives us a negative 3x. Bring down that 6. The x times what is negative 3x? That's just a negative 3. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. When we go to subtract these, everything changes their sign, and each term cancels out. So we have a remainder of 0. So our answer is just the x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now, if we look at another example, like 2x cubed minus 29x plus 13 all over x plus 4. So that x plus 4 will go on the outside like usual. However, if we look at the trinomial that's on the top, we have an x cubed, then we have an x. Then we have the 13, which is a constant. We don't have an x squared, so we have to represent that x squared somehow. So we'll write down the 2x cubed. Now, since we have to represent that x squared, we're going to put a plus 0x squared. And then we'll keep going with the negative 29x plus the 13. So then start with what you normally do. The x times what is 2x cubed? That's 2x squared. So 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. And 2x squared times 4 is a positive 8x squared. Subtract these two. It's going to turn into addition. So the 2x cubed minus 2x cubed cancels out. The 0x squared minus 8x squared is a negative 8x squared. Bring down that negative 29x. From here, x times what is negative 8x squared? It's a negative 8x. So multiply them. Negative 8x times x is negative 8x squared. The negative 8x times 4 is a negative 32x. So then subtract or add the opposites. The 8x squared cancels out. The negative 29x plus 32 is 3x. Bring down that 13. So we now have 3x plus 13. So x times what is 3x? That's going to be a positive 3. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 4 is 12. When we subtract these, again, we're going to turn it into addition. So we have the 3x's that cancel out, and 13 minus 12 is 1. So our answer for this one is the 2x squared minus 8x plus 3 plus 1 over x plus 4.